Hey, Gobel here. Two brand new drive disc sets were already revealed, all on yesterday's livestream. We have Chaos Jazz, a DPS set specifically for fire and electric anomaly units, as well as Proto, a support-based set that seems to be for shielders. I'll be diving into both of these today and evaluating them one by one and who they can be good for, and if it's worth the farm. So if this video helps, like, subscribe and share, and let's begin. One thing I'll say is these sets are both very much built for the new units in 1.2, Burnice and Caesar. Yes, other units will be able to use them as we'll see later, but I would have already preferred a more universal effect on Chaos Jazz. I hope in the future we get synergistic sets, but ones that also can involve a lot more agents. But anyway, let's start with Chaos Jazz. The 2-piece is a 30 anomaly proficiency bonus. This shares the same 2-piece as Freedom Blues, the anomaly support or DPS set. This is a simple stat and will offer an upgrade in anomaly damage. The 4-piece is very interesting and complex, but because of this it's also pretty niche, so let's see it. First off, a 15% fire damage and electric damage buff. This means even if you can maximize the next effect, you're not fire or electric specifically, you're going to be missing out compared to running a 4-piece that properly fits your unit. And so finally, when off-build, the damage caused by EX specials and assist attacks is increased by 20%. So this is built for Burnice, who has off-build damage ticks from what the livestream showed us. However, the final part states that this buff lingers when swapping back on field for 5 seconds. This now lets us run this set on Grace, as nearly all of her anomaly contribution is through her EX specials, which she performs in quick succession. The lingering effect can be triggered once every 7.5 seconds. Since the effect lasts for 5 seconds, we can assume it works like Hormone Punk, where this cooldown ticks down right when you trigger the lingering effect. This means you will easily be able to get this buff every single time you swap back on field. Just don't mess it up with accidental swap-ins or parries or chains. Luckily the cooldown is short, so it's not too bad if you do. The way anomalies work, if you haven't seen my guide, go check it out, is that the final anomaly damage is the result of every element application you do before, and therefore it also takes into account your stats every time you apply an element, and does a big calculation using all these applications. So giving us a 20% damage buff on EXs is giving us 20% damage buff to our final anomaly if all we used were EX specials to proc the anomaly. So in simpler terms, this set will give us 30 AP and instant easy access to anomaly damage. It will then give 15% electric and fire damage, which is a permanent increase to these elements' damage types, but also to shock and burn, their resulting anomalies. And finally, it will give 20% damage to EXs and assist attacks, meaning even more anomaly damage when using these two attack types. The 2-piece can be used over Freedom Blues if you don't want to farm that as a 2-piece for units like Jane and Piper. For units that use Chaos Jazz, it can also be used as a 4-piece with Freedom Blues as a 2-piece, resulting in a 60 AP buff from 2-piece bonuses alone. And as for units that can use the 4-piece, right now all I can see are Burnice and Grace. For Burnice, we don't have her numbers or full kit, but this set should be her best. I'll be sure to calculate it for her guide. But for Grace, we can calculate how good it is on her right now. And also this buff lasts for 5 seconds, and a Grace rotation of 4 basics and 2 EXs weaved in is around 3 seconds long, so we are safe. Right now her best set in Mono Electric is Thunder Metal, and her best set in Disorder is Freedom Blues. Well, by plugging it in, we are just under Freedom Blues and Thunder Metal. But do note that this is in one quick rotation, and I think it could beat Freedom Blues the longer you fight. It does beat Fanged Metal though in physical disorder compositions. So it's viable and it is immediately powerful. Thunder requires that first shock, even if that is easy, which means Chaos Jazz can be strong for instant power on fodder waves. And unlike Freedom Blues, this new disc drive offers power outside of just the EX special. It does of course have its own consistency problems though. If you are farming the other set for someone like Caesar, then at least you can use this on Grace if you're not also picking up Burnice. And since for Grace, Thunder Metal sucks in Disorder teams, and Freedom Blues sucks in Mono Electric, it means this set works in both Grace compositions, which allows for way more flexibility and less farming needed. And now let's check out the second set coming in 1.2, Proto. The 2-piece effect is a completely new unique bonus of 15% shield effect. What this means is any shield will now be multiplied by 1.15 times, though we'll have to see how it works with caps like Ceph's 3000 shield cap on his core passive. I'm hoping it is a modifier post-cap. The only other units that have a shield are Ben and the brand new Caesar, not counting weird Mindscape shields like Anton M2. As for the 4-piece, we get a supportive effect. When any squad member triggers a defensive or evasive assist, all squad members deal 15% increased damage for 10 seconds, and this can't stack with itself on another unit. The 4-piece is interesting because if we compare it to Swing Jazz, which does the same thing, we get two stark differences. The first is that anyone can trigger Proto Punk in the team provided it exists on a unit in the team, whereas Swing Jazz requires the wearer to launch the chain attack. The other difference is the way you trigger it, defensive or offensive assists versus chains or ultimates. These assists can happen very frequently, allowing for a permanent 15% damage uptime before a boss is stunned. After that, you won't be assisting as the poor fella will be sitting down and no longer attacking you, which means this buff will fall off. Swing Jazz, however, won't happen until the enemy is stunned or until you use the support's ultimate, which is rare. So Proto Punk offers a much longer buff during a fight, and Swing Jazz offers a harder to achieve buff, but one that can be more important as it's during the stun window that you want to burst an enemy down in. For sports, this Proto Punk set is a viable alternative to Swing Jazz, and then you'd run 2-piece Swing Jazz probably for the energy effect. Even though you won't have it during the stun duration, I think a permanent 15% damage if you are doing assists is very strong. For anomaly teams especially, this is great, as they build up anomalies whenever they feel like it, making this a more powerful supportive option in these teams over Swing Jazz. But of course, if you are running like Lucy and Caesar in the same team, why not run both for your main carry? For sports, you can also disregard the 2-piece. If you don't have a shield, it's okay. The 4-piece effect is stronger to have on units that don't scale as hard as DPS. You might need a few more attack percent subs if losing a Hormone Punk on Lucy, for example, but it will be worth if the 4-piece fits better in your team composition. And so on the topic of Seth and Ben, I think Seth can definitely use it. He can use Freedom Blues if supporting a Grace, but if she has it on herself, then he would want to run Proto Punk instead. For Ben, if you are playing him supportive, go for it, but I prefer going all in on big damage like a baller, so I won't be running this on him. Anyways, let me know what you think of these two new drive discs. Will you be farming these for the brand new Caesar and Burnice, or will you farm it for some other units? Like and sub and share if this video helped. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.